All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get stuck in. I apologize if noise is a bit worse today. Kind of turned on all the fans. It's so hot. It is so hot. Heat waves, am I right? I was actually planning to be back a little bit earlier than now, but had to get caught up on a few things and just I didn't even have time to lay down. I was gonna get a little bit of rest because the heat. So instead I did a bunch of exercise. Takes less time. Okay. Okay, I know where I'm going. Let's do it. Good afternoon, Valerian, Type 3B, Yura, Vancini, Von Falkenstein. I have done Dagger Only Challenge, yes. It's not super fun, but it's also not as bad as you'd think at the same time. It's honestly kind of more boring than anything else. Which I suppose it doesn't make it great challenge material, but, you know, whatever. So I've been thinking about the terrain design, which is really important when it comes to platformers. Hi, Trigaxia. And even though it's going to get me absolutely destroyed, I feel like this game doesn't really have particularly good terrain design, even though it has really good terrain design. And if you're paying attention to the document, you'll notice I've actually already given a positive and a negative for self-same. The reason why is because there's large swaths of this game that are, for lack of a better way to call it, stop screaming while I kill you? Jesus. There's large swaths of essentially empty terrain. What it really boils down to is seconds and minutes. I mean, how many times have you been playing this game? It's like, oh, I want to get over to such and such a place. And then you spend several minutes going over there because, you know, there's just stuff in the way, or empty rooms in the way, or terrain designed to slow you down, right? Now, we know why some of this was there. It was literally because of hardware issues, loading screens. But I found myself thinking about that, because I was thinking, if I was reviewing Metroid Prime 1 on the GameCube, specifically the GameCube version, I would absolutely give that game a negative for what is effectively the exact same problem. Metroid Prime, how many of you played Metroid Prime 1 on the GameCube? Or the Wii version? I think it has the same issue, but you know, disc version either way. Not the recent remaster. Everyone in chat's like, I've never even heard of it. What's a Metroid? Well, you see, it's like an android, but much worse. Let's see. Normally, I use the boots to get up here. Nobody's played Metroid Prime 1. Okay, cool. So you walk up to a door and you hit it. Pong! And then a second or so passes. And it's only a second, but it's every door. There's also specific parts of Metroid Prime 1, which is hard to explain. I'll try to show it off when we go through it, even though it will not be an issue, because we'll be playing the remastered version. But there's triggers. What they did was they painted 3D zones within each room, and those are... Never mind, I guess I don't do that. Anyways, they painted a 3D area. So, when you enter that particular area, that's what actually triggers the game to start loading certain areas. So, like, to use an equivalent of that. Let's say the room below me isn't loaded right now. Just play pretend for me for a second. So I'm going over here, and I'm going over here, and I go, nah. And as I'm going over here, I accidentally kind of go up here, and then down here. When I get to this part, this room below me isn't actually loaded, because I skipped the load trigger. So while I'm staring at the door, it's loading, and so the door will not open until the next room is loaded. So if you ever wondered why some doors take longer than others, that's part of the reason why. The other reason, of course, just some rooms just take longer to load. Now, what was supposed to happen is, as you wander into this area, the moment I hit this spot, that's when the next room starts loading. Hey, it's loading. We get here and we have a much smaller gap. The problem with all of this is it all still boils down to the same thing. It's seconds in minutes. It pads out the runtime substantially. And Soten kind of has the same problem, because and for exactly the same reason. Like, this room is a giant empty horizontal room with one random enemy in it. That was a load screen room, the one we just went through. This room is an actual room, but you get the point. Like, it's obvious to see where a load screen room is and where a load screen room isn't, because there's just a corridor with nothing in it, right? So, same type of negative, same type of problem. Anyways. Who? Jordan? Sorry, I don't actually get the reference. I apologize. I haven't been keeping up on Baldur's Gate 3 things. So, two things. First, which is the best familiar to use? So, to be clear, all of them kind of suck. Let's just put that as honestly as we possibly can. The only one really worth using at all is the fairy if you set her up right, or the sword if you bother to level them. And even then, They do use them stylistically. I was actually thinking about this in the case of, say, Metroid Prime 1. I would probably give this multiple negatives, but in this game, I'd probably only give it one. So Type 3B Skeleton asks about FF16. So the way this works is if you go to the website right now, or actually, if you type into chat !list, it'll be like, hey, and it'll give you a link to the page that I'm telling you about. But either way, that is the list. That is all the games that are not funded. All of those are in the process of being funded. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into a game being funded, and I do mean a lot. But from your end, it's very simple. Is the bar full, yes or no? If the bar is full, then it's funded, and it's not even there. If the bar is not full, then it's not funded. That's it. That's as complex as it gets. Now, if you'll notice, FF16 is absolutely nowhere near funded. People only started even putting money towards it pretty recently. In fact, actually, if I double check something here really quick, I'm kind of curious. Wrong document. Hang on, sorry. I opened the wrong document. That's how curious I am. Yes, someone only added FF16 to the list 5 months ago. So, pretty recent. Bingo, Type 3B. Once something is funded, it leaves the list and enters the queue. The queue has its own malleability about how it's organized. So, for example, Dragon Age Origins, the Dragon Age block was just funded. However, we're not playing it immediately, because that would just get in the way of the existing blocks, right? I mean, could you imagine going directly from Castlevania to Dragon Age? And then back to Castlevania? Nah, that's just gonna make sure of anything. So we went ahead and pushed Dragon Age out, so it'll happen after Baldur's Gate 3, which was already funded before it. Make sense? Well, that's because you're thinking of the plot, Jordan. Most, if not all, of the story of this game is in the visuals, the background, the atmosphere. There's a whole lot that goes into it and makes this place feel like the castle of chaos that it is. For example, depends on how you define it, Type 3B Skeleton.
Mother!
That voice! Alucard, it's you!
I'm coming, Mother! I'll save you!
Voice acting continues to be terrible.
No, Alucard! Don't come here!
But, Mother!
It's all right. If my death can save others, I gladly surrender my life.
Mother, no! Please, no!
Yes, Alucard. Watch me die, and remember always my last words to you.
Yes, Mother.
You must despise humans. They are to be your prey.
What?
Better for them to die than to let them compound their sins. Begin by slaying that one over there.
No, it wasn't like this.
What's wrong? Alucard.
My mother never said such a thing.
What do you mean? Kill them and bring them happiness.
No, you're not my mother. What kind of demon are you?
The voice acting is so hilariously
You
terrible.
broke free of my spell. I like that.
Demon, death is too good for you.
Come here, little boy, and show me what you've got.
For being such a story-significant moment, this boss is kind of a joke. You can actually stun lock her, but I screwed it up. And dead.
Darkling, I smell your blood. You're a vampire? Could it be... that strength, that beauty? You're the son of Lord Dracula.
Death in the dream world will set your soul wandering for eternity, demon.
Wait, I beg of you! Ah!
And at that exact moment is when your parents walk in. It's so good. I gave it a positive for a reason. It's, let's be honest, it's terrible. But it's just the right flavor of terrible. It really is. There's a reason we have a whole category for so good it's bad being a positive. Yeah, the kids was trying to be serious and failing. Anyways. So, correct, Lord Hammer. That is not how things be or do or go. Nowadays, the way it works, yeah, it's like Resident Evil. Resident Evil is not a serious series. Some people don't realize that. Or Metal Gear Solid, for that matter. Words. So the way it works is if something's added to the queue, then I use my brain in determining where it goes. That's kind of it. That's kind of the answer. The general policy is that anything you guys fund takes priority over anything I fund. Now, that hasn't actually taken account yet because we still haven't gotten through the backlog. But once we do, I will start funding runs out of Dealer's Choice, and those will just kind of be like the next few runs we run, right? But if I'm in the middle of funding some stuff and we're doing like a made-up example, Mega Man 3 through 8, and then you guys fund Banjo's I Hate You in the Face career 17, then Banjo would technically take priority. But we aren't going to immediately quit in the middle of Mega Man to go to Banjo and then go back to Mega Man. We're going to use our brain about that, finish the current Mega Man block, then switch to Banjo before we move on to anything else. Yeah, we're at the over the 3-year mark at this point, Valerian, for pushing through this backlog. And we're not going to make... We might not make it this year, in all sincerity. Because we've still got Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Baldur's Gate 3 to go through. So I can go there now. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, losing 2 months of my life in the middle of the year really didn't help anything. Honestly, we would be in really good shape right now. You can tell I'm good at scheduling things because the schedule pretty much lines up perfectly before it gets screwed up. Which I know sounds like I'm a terrible scheduler, and it's because I am. But my point is, I did actually map it out appropriately so that if nothing had gone wrong, we would be good. Like, we would be ready to go. The backlog would be crushed right about now. I mean, 2 months. Whatever. Yeah, we'd already be back to Streaminations. As it is right now, that's being pushed way back. Like, possibly next year back. Yeah, I'm actually legitimately very curious how Dragon Age 2 is going to review. Because we know Origins is going to pop, right? We know that. And Inquisition's going to have a lot of negatives, but also a lot of positives. Where the hell is 2 going to end up? So, do I prefer Metroidvania or the classic Castlevania? I prefer Metroidvania overall, just in general. I mean, I said it earlier, I'm pretty sure this is the best Castlevania game, and I say that for a reason. I love Curse of the Moon quite a bit, but it's the only thing that's ever challenged this in my mind, and it's not really Castlevania, which, speaking of which, someone asked earlier, how many Castlevania games are we playing? Fortunately, the answer to that question is, depends on how you gauge it. If you're saying games that have Castlevania in the title, the answer is 1. This one. If you mean Castlevania games as in style of Castlevania, well, this is the 3rd of 4. I'm trying not to speculate on how well Baldur's Gate 3 is going to do. Yeah, see, the thing I'm thinking is that Dragon Age Inquisition is going to score, honestly, really badly on the gameplay aspect. The removal of healing, the severe imbalance between the classes. You know, some of them are way too bad, some of them are way too good. The way they do quest design, the way they do overworld design, the quest flow, freaking map. You know the one, the war map. Just traversal is irritating in that game. Never mind hub design, layout. Like, that game is weirdly bad on the gameplay aspect. So, funny story. The very first game we reviewed ever was Dragon Age Inquisition. It was the very beginning of starting the review system. Now, we used a completely different system back then. But, you know, it was the first. Of course we did, right? Excuse me. And yeah, we're going to mod the war table. We're going to give the war table all the negatives, and then we're going to mod it out. But you get my point. Dragon Age Inquisition is going to tank on the gameplay axis. I honestly struggle to think of gameplay positives in Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm sure there are some. Of course there's going to be some. But I can't think of any by memory. By contrast, even Dragon Age 2, which is usually crapped on, has quite a few good positives to gameplay. Oh yeah, we'll have to mod out spiders, too. Don't worry, all 3 Dragon Age games will get a negative for spiders. Would you believe the Nightmare Demon doesn't actually bother me? Kick a pudding. Why a negative to spiders? You know, people were so angry when I gave a negative to Dragon Age Origins for spiders. People were so pissed about that. I stand by it, by the way. After literal hours of debating the topic back and forth. No, really. Negative to spiders. But, it's actually funny. I had people tell me that my review system had revealed its flaws, that it was proof positive of how bad my review system was, I believe is how that was being explained. I had some people say that I was just insanity for... Like, it's... God, it was bad. But I stand by it. And the reason why... is because there's only 4 games ever that actually bother me with regards to spiders, and all 4 will be getting a negative to spiders. And it's specifically because all 4 games went out of their way to make their spiders as realistic as possible. That's kind of the catch right there. The developers went way out of their way in order to ensure that those spiders would be bothering you as much as they possibly could. And, yeah. Yeah, no, it is the same reason that we give a negative for excessive or bothersome gore, which we've done several times, by the way. No, it does not, Lord Nerman. Skyrim, Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition. That's the quartet, right there. But yeah, there's a level of gore, which is honestly just unacceptable. See Frambo. And there's a level of creepy horrifyingness. And honestly, I would not have played Grounded if not for the top. In fact, some of you probably remember this. So when Grounded was announced, I was like, that sounds awesome. I'm not playing that. And it was actually on the banned list. And then they had a patch note, which announced Arachnophobia mode. The day that was announced, people added it to the list because it was allowed now. But it was actually vetoed until then. But no, Hogwarts Legacy is vetoed for unrelated reasons. Correct. Fantastical spiders, generally speaking, don't bother me. Like the aforementioned Nightmare Demon in Dragon Age Inquisition, or like all the spiders in World of Warcraft, or I can't actually think of anything else off the top of my head, but there's lots of spiders and lots of fiction, and generally speaking, like the overwhelming majority of the time, they don't actually bother me. That's because they don't actually look like spiders. Have you noticed, and this is true, the majority of spiders in video games are actually animated like crabs, not spiders. And I actually did some looking into that when we were looking into it. That's done deliberately. It's literally deliberately done by animators to make the spiders less creepy and horrifying. To bother people with arachnophobia less. Now, that's not always true, but there are developers out there who have specifically said, yeah, let's make it move like a crab. Because movement matters, right? God, oh my god, this guy, skeleton, he wanted that. Oh god, I know the bug you're talking about, Valerian. No, the spiders in Hollow Knight didn't bother me. Like I said, most spiders don't actually bother me. Yay, still the wolf. Witchcraft, heresy, mutation! Sorry. I don't remember what that one actually does. I don't hate spiders. As long as they're nowhere near me and I can't see them and I can't hear them and they never get anywhere near me ever, they can live as much as they want. The moment they come anywhere near me, they're extremely dead. Best sub-weapon or bestest sub-weapon? Yeah, the whole point of a phobia is it's functionally irrational. It's not something that's what makes it a phobia. If you're scared of something, that's not a phobia. You're scared of, if a T-Rex is chasing after you and you're like, you don't have a phobia of T-Rexes. That's very logical and very natural. Phobias are illogical, irrational. They're just defects in our brains. Okay, let's... I don't have the spike armor. I could go there. It's gonna be a trip, though. Who could do it? Let's do that. Sorry, we're kind of at that one part of the game where it's like, well, you can go all kinds of places. Where do you want to go next? And if I might be so bold, it's impossible to discuss this game without discussing Super Metroid. In fact, I kind of wish we were reviewing Super Metroid immediately after this so we could compare them side by side, but whatever. But the thing is, despite the fact that this and Super Metroid literally birthed the term Metroidvania, the fact of the matter is, this game is actually structured almost completely differently than Super Metroid. Super Metroid is a very, how do I explain this? Super Metroid uses its terrain and its level design to guide the player almost constantly. There's always something somewhere that gives you some kind of indication of where the game wants you to go next. It's important to note that, with very few exceptions, you do not have to go there. Super Metroid is a very open game, but there's always something indicating, hey, maybe you should check in this direction. Soten lacks that completely. Soten instead, once you get to a certain point, which is effectively when you get the double jump, that's really when the game just flies open in terms of what you can access. So, yeah, except for the tube. The tube is getting a negative. Let's just get that out of the way. When we get to the tube in Super Metroid, that's a negative. But yeah, Soten wants you to roam around and figure out where to go next. The map helps a little bit because it's got those little nubs of where you haven't been, but that's all the direction you're really given once you get the double jump, with a couple of noteworthy exceptions. It's even more worthwhile noting that you can literally skip out on half the game if you don't get a couple of things. 3 things, specifically. Correct, Crazy Norris. The tube you have to power bomb. I'll tell a story about it when we get there, but screw that tube. It's a negative to gameplay. I don't think you can talk me out of that one. You know what, this is slow. Did I mention you have moon boots in this game? Because you have moon boots in this game. Okay. So this unlocks something under the wooden bridge. The reason we came over here. I wanted to do this earlier, I just screwed it up. I'm going to go ahead and put on the gold ring now, because I'll need it later. Oh wow, it's exactly the same. It looks cooler though. See? Excuse me, Donkey Kong. What is the best movement tool set between Super Metroid and Soten? So, that's an interesting question. The answer is both in different ways. Soten has better overall hit, but it's harder to use. Stuff like this doesn't look like this, but it's actually an input, down, up, jump, and you have to do that input every single time. And there's several things like that, which you have to do rather specifically in order over and over. It can be a little bit hand-destroy-y, for lack of a better way to put it. By contrast, Super Metroid, with the exception of the wall jump, which is its own problem, controls much more smoothly. Yeah, Richter mode is much worse. We're not even Richter. Oh my god, Richter mode. Okay, we're good, we're good. Yeah, Super Metroid's wall jump is not good. The only reason it's not going to be more negatives is specifically because of the fact that it's only actually useful / required / designed for once in the entire game. But yes, I have literally known speedrunners who have caused themselves... They've had to go to the doctor for speedrunning Richter mode. That's not a joke or an exaggeration. It is hand-destroying. So, I don't want to get all morose. But I'm gonna change topic very violently. You hear this song that's playing right now? I kind of like this song nowadays, but at the time I hated this song. You're probably wondering why. I don't know why, but this song reminds me of the time I spent in jail. Probably because I played this game immediately after getting it, like literally the night I got out. And I was going through some rather severe PTSD at the time. And this song, to this very day, is what I associate with that sensation of cold, concrete, and metal. And this song... Yeah, I was innocent, by the way. Sorry. keep forgetting I have to clarify. I was innocent. That's the problem. That's why that was such a horrifyingly tragic thing. Imagine you've done nothing wrong, and then someone just shows up, tases your ass, and then drags you off to jail. Not fun. Don't recommend. So this song has stuck with me ever since because it's the music that reminds me of that sensation, of that moment. It's very effective at what it's trying to convey, but holy crap. Yeah, I still actually have the scars, Trihexian. To this very day, I'm not going to show you because I don't even think you'd see them, but they're right there. Because not a lot of people know this. Taser guns, they shoot little barbed hooks into you. And then, you know, the cabling is what sends the current into you. It's quite unpleasant. Yeah, then they have to be yanked out. Mm-hmm. That's why I still got those scars. Last time. Say, sir. I can, boss. I mean, I've got a story for each of my scars, but yeah. So what's my favorite boss design of this game? A very good question, because something I was thinking about earlier, and I don't mean this as an unkindness, is that most of the bosses in this game kinda aren't. It's not that they're bad, but there's just so little design to most of the bosses. The boss we just fought literally jumps back and forth and then shoots a bunch of balls. I think it's got 2 moves, right? And a lot of the bosses have that. You'll notice I haven't given any boss positives yet, and that's why. Having said that, I do think there are some decent bosses here. Olrox is actually probably one of the best designed bosses, and the Legion Gramphaloon, I think is what it's called in this translation, but Legion is another one. Box while we're here. And of course I don't have the demons, so I can't open that switch. I don't remember where I got the demon at. What is the name of that? Hang on, we were thinking about this earlier. What was the name of that? That's not it. Although there's the cat damage. I wasn't joking. It's really a thing. You can look it up. Ah, well, whatever. I'll look it up later. There's a specific ring I used to farm in the inverted equivalent of this area. And I can't remember what it was. It's from the witches down there. Not these ones, the inverted ones. This exact song is not on my playlist for reasons I probably don't have to elaborate on. That being said, there's plenty of Sota music on my various playlists. Warp point. Critical warp point. I have the, I don't remember what I call it, the Dead playlist. There's also Sorrow. So hang on, we got Dead, we've got Sorrow. I feel like there's another one. There's Villain, and there's Preparatory. In that direction. There's also Ruins, which is kind of different. Darkness, which is totally different. I don't know why I mentioned that. I guess that's it. So Dead, Villain, and whatever the other one was I just mentioned, I've already forgotten about. Sorry, that's it. Tense. So I have a mission and some of preparatory lends itself towards tense. The mission playlist is actually a recent addition, but it was because I kept listening to songs I'm like, that doesn't really sound like a such and such. Wait a minute. You know what this is? It's a mission playlist. And where am I? Okay, so... By the way, if you're wondering why the fairy keeps orgasming, it's because what's happening is if you stand still for a second, she rests on your shoulder. And then, you know, if you move, she falls off. And for some reason, video games can't have women going like, ugh, without it sounding, you know, like Vanille in FF13. You know what I'm talking about. That's actually not where I want to go. No, I'm pretty sure that's directly the fault of the voice directors in question. It's entirely possible for a woman to sound like without sounding like like I'm being exaggerative, but there is a difference in tonality between the two. Oh God. I did that once to coin it and stopped doing it for exactly that reason. Which is funny, because if you remember, one of the biggest reasons back in the day is I used to play female characters in certain video games was for the voice actresses. See Mass Effect 1 for the classic example of that. But yeah, it was just kind of like, okay. I wish I could remember the one game. I've told this story before, but there's this one game, and I want to say it was one of the Grandias. Feels like it was Grandia 3. And I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time. And a cutscene was playing, and she legitimately thought I had a woman in bed with me at the time. Like, she was just like, what the hell are you doing? Oh my God. And I had to actually call my roommate over. Be like, could you tell her, please, that I'm just playing Grandia 3? Please. Yeah, then there's that bunny summon.
A switch. Why don't I press it and see?
Congratulations. That is 100% of the usefulness of that particular card. He's gone. Thank you, Fairy. What is it with plants emulating naked, beautiful women in Japanese media? Why is that a thing? Do I think this game looks better than Super Metroid? Sometimes. The brickwork in this game is undeniable. It's one of the most gorgeous sprite work games, honestly, ever. So, it deserves its own recognition for that. But, well. Yeah, I have this phrase I use constantly, inches amongst giants. Or, inches amongst miles. Excuse me. Although both qualify. When you get to a certain point, you're debating which one is better by such a minuscule amount that what you're basically saying is, both of these things are extremely good. Which one is extremely slightly better than the other one? you in chat right now have played this game? Like, preferably more than once. The reason I'm asking, I've been debating a negative, and it's a negative that I myself have run into, and I know people who've never played this game because of this negative. It's very simple to explain. It's called early game hell. Just nope our way out of that one. The early part of the game, you have so little kit, and so little health, and so few hearts, and so few sub-weapons, and such terrible gear, and the enemies hit pretty hard and are unforgiving, and you have that giant knockback, and it's pretty easy to die, and it's pretty easy to lose progress, and it just gets kind of irritating until you hit your a certain point. Once you get to a certain point, you're fine. Like like I said earlier, once you get the double jump, you've basically won. Especially if you've been fighting bosses, getting the side stuff as you go. Well, part of the funny thing is that Soten has both problems when it comes to difficulty. It is too hard early on, and it is too easy later. We're kind of already there, but not really. When we get to a certain part of this game, we will be so ridiculously overpowered, without even really meaning to be, that nothing will stand a chance against us. Whether that's a good or bad thing is a little bit more debatable, but it is interesting to think about. Ah, right.
Don't forget that some animals can live in complete darkness.
Yeah. I don't actually have the echo. So
Don't forget that some animals can live in complete
Yep,
darkness.
thanks, Fairy. Thanks, Fairy. Appreciate you. And as per usual for games like this that have a, what do I call it? A Taste of Power section, like we did at the very beginning. In this game, you will get to the point where you are substantially stronger than you were. Do it. What game does Taste of Power best? That's actually a good question. It's a rare thing in general. There's some doodads for you. You feel one. Off the top of my head, I can think of a game that does it better than that. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, by the way. How could you dislike a Taste of Power? No offense, Robostall, but I legitimately don't understand that. What's the detriment of that? Yeah, God of War 3 and actually 2 as well also had Taste of Power sections. Spoils what, though? Like, help me to understand. I am too stupid to understand the issue. Pretend I'm a boring, stupid 3-year-old who's dead inside. Because I just found out there's no Easter Bunny. Spoilers. Ah, I get you. Nah. Oh, right, excuse me. Yeah, it's true. Dragon Age 2 also had a Taste of Power section. Which was actually a pretty good section, and we'll probably get positives when we get there. Man, I'm not doing that, Draxia. I'm not that crazy. At least not this playthrough. Ultimate reward, $1. There's so many irritating enemies down here. Wait, people use euros? Really? Walk armor. Does it even say what the walk armor does? Depth increases with map coverage. I guess it does. And it's already better than our current armor. And will probably continue to be so for a while. As in the entire rest of the game. Oh my god. You know the real reason I use Chrysogram? It's not because it's an overpowered death machine. It's because it can hit below you. So anyway, Legion. Excuse me, Grand Balloon. Yeah, a bit of a gore warning. Not the first one for this game. Not the last one for this game. Oh, come on. Give me one. I just want one. Nope. Don't worry, all those dead people are surely fine. They're dead. And what more can be done to them? Oh, jeez, sir. That's terrible. Oh yeah, this is where daggers will be coming nicely. Come on. Jesus. That actually hurt my thumb trying to do that. Now they got one off, too. Let me do another one. Speaking to you, Flag Ant. There's the actual boss in there. Oh, right. Sure, true to 4, hit me. Unless you're going to tell me the tap method, which has never worked for me in this game. Although I do it all the time at FF6. That works perfectly. But yeah, the boss itself has very low health, which is part of why this doesn't suck as a fight. If this boss had tons of health, it would actually suck. I agree. I agree. Legion, I just said Legion's one of the better bosses in the game. And I stand by that. Excuse me, Grand Balloon. Interesting. I'll have to try that, true to 4. Mormageddon. Strong versus Holy. Not super useful in a game like this, but there's a couple of points where that's neat. Okay. I think we've swept as much as we can until we have Echo. I don't actually remember where Echo is. I might... You know what? I'm just going to Google it. I'm just going to go ahead and Google it. Because it's pretty much the next thing we want. How did I miss that? Wait, I didn't miss that, did I? I didn't miss it. I do actually have it. Okay. Well, I was gonna say... I'm just stupid. It's okay. We had to come over here. I wonder, does anybody know if of the various fan patches of this game, is there one that puts this, you know, it basically gives you a mini-map with the map? That'd be nice, but... That's my refill. We're gonna have to fight Grand Balloon again. I love some of these old translations. Who are you fighting? Grand Balloon. What does that even mean? Is that like some name from some mythos somewhere? Or is it literally just people smashing words together? It happens a lot in these old translations. Sure, I'll take that. If it's not obvious, I tend to use the axe. I like the additional verticality it gives me. Especially in a game like this one. There we go.
Don't forget that some animals can live in complete darkness.
Really? Thanks. I'm honestly surprised by that, but thank you for checking. I love the background brickwork here on this area. Yeah, those thorns will turbo kill you if you fall into them. And the nearest save is a bit of a distance. Not a long distance, but it is a bit of a distance. Really crazy horse. I mean, people recreate a lot of things in Minecraft. Frickin' Gondor. Like, I'm sorry, whatever people recreate in Minecraft, it will never surpass Gondor for me. That's still bonkers. The worst game I would play as a chill game. No Man's Sky. Now, I'm not saying that's a particularly bad game, but it's probably the worst game I'd still play that is a chill game. Spike Breaker. Now we can go get the silver ring, which allows us to get the shades, which allows us to go to the second tower. So we're finally homing in on the end of the first tower, or first castle. Is there 2 to 4? I feel like you're right, because there's several points where it's like, we expect you to have gone all this way, and we don't want you to backtrack through the whole game, so here's a library card. You are correct. Yeah, that's a trip no matter where you started. I think we're going to just do this. This is what the Spike Breaker does. As with all such things, it is weirdly, just bizarrely satisfying to do. It is, to my knowledge, a unique sound in this game, too. As in, they don't use that sound effect for anything else. I could be wrong about that, though. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, viscerality is the thing this game is going to get in spades. Oh, I usually do that crazy. I'm only not because, you know, I'm... Ideally, I'd love to beat this game today, but we'll see. If we don't, it's whatever. We'll beat it tomorrow. Aha! So Grand Flute actually means something. Thank you, Jenbel. Appreciate you. That's wild that they either looked that up or knew that when they were localizing this. Because to my knowledge, that creature is called Legion in every other iteration. Big HP restore by cat damage. You thought I was joking, but no, there really is cat damage in this game. I love this game. Okay, so... we'll need it soon. In fact... Oh, I know. I know, prisoners. I'll leave that as this for now. Okay. The best story about Dracula? Well, obviously that's the Van Helsing movie. Let's see. No, it's Blade 3. Oh my god. No offense to anybody who liked Blade 3. I kind of hated that movie. I was so blonkered by it, I just kind of put it down and never went back to it. I think you're right, Genthel. I'm boring. My usual loadout is like Prisagrum, Ring of Varda, because I'm usually playing on a second playthrough. You know. The Walk Armor. I don't actually remember what else. I used to have a whole list of what I would use. Okay, so... I've never looked into the behind-the-scenes on Blade 3. I'm guessing it was a mess. Because that film was just... so much nonsense. Speaking of which, I keep forgetting to write down viscerality. And... something else I was going to jot down. Itemization. That was the other one. Okay, where are we at? Where are we where I want to be? Nope. This is goat. I want to be a horse. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Was he really Crazy Norse? I mean, I'd believe that. That film. If you kill one man, you're a murderer. If you kill a lot of men, you're a leader. But if you kill them all, then you're a god. What kind of line is that? Who wrote that? Yeah, you know, the more I hear about it, the less I like method act. Like, I don't know, when I was a kid, people would talk about method actors and be like, oh man, method actors are so cool and amazing and interesting, and they care so much about their craft. But the older I've gotten and the more I've studied the behind-the-scenes stuff, method actors are usually just being dicks. And using the fact that they're acting in character as an excuse to be a dick. Like, that's not cool, people. Stop being a dick. Never actually went this way. Mid-January. That's actually pretty much exactly on target for what I was thinking. So thank you. Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly true to form. Like, I'm sorry, speaking as a 30-plus year career D&D-er, method acting just sounds like players who are, you know, trying to be a dick and using their character as an excuse to do it. And no, I don't mean Christian Bale. I mean all of them. I thought. Sorry, hang on. I need to change my hotkeys because they're wrong for some reason. Give me 1 second, please. No, no, don't. There we go. There we go. Okay. Hi, Chat Guy. How's your day going? I'm tired and still a little achy from various things lately, but I'm surviving. And I get to play Soten tonight. So it's not like I have a lot to complain about. I kind of straddle that weird line of my job. Because obviously I care about my job, and I try to do the most professional job I can. And obviously I put a lot of work into it, and it's very exhausting and very demanding. But I also love my job. So it's like... interesting series of payouts, or not payouts, trade-offs, or a series of trade-offs. Wait, hang on. No, that's right, that's right. Refill? That's what those bosses are really for, is refill. I mean... I'm pretty sure this game is going to score bonkers well. Like, I'd be surprised if it doesn't. We haven't even gotten to the inverted castle yet, and we've already got a ton of positives all over the place. And we've already front-loaded most of the negatives this game's going to get. Like that one. A negative for that pro. Right there. Just that one negative. It's just that one pro gets a negative by itself. I will admit, for the sake of expediency, probably the very first thing I'm going to do when I get to the inverted castle is beeline for the Chrysagra. I'm going to just make that happen. Whoops.
did you find Richter?
How did you get here?
I don't know if he's the one you're looking for, but I found a Belmont.
Really? So he is here.
But the one I saw was the enemy. He was the lord of this castle.
That can't be true. You're wrong. I must go now.
Seriously, how did she get here? We're in the middle of absolutely nowhere. This freaking outcropping surrounded by spikes, which requires a mist form and the freaking magic pendant thing in order to enter. Ha! Okay, whatever. Where in Clock Tower? She's blind. Ah! What's wrong button? Yeah, I'm going to show off the bad ending briefly. She walks. I mean, I did kind of open the door for her. Maybe she, like, snuck in right behind me and then was like, oh, yes, I've been here the whole time. Yes, yes. That's true, though. You're right. The last time we played this, I was actually less impressed with the inverted castle I thought it would be. What's the fastest way over there? I guess... down? Yeah, I guess down. Down, then. That makes a weirdly large amount of sense, Crazy. Ooh, let's go this way. Try to get a efficiency in as we're going here. I never actually finished the Coliseum. Mostly because people like this guy. Have we, Crazy Horse? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. We got the woman who was crying when we did it. How is this road not empty? Breaking gate, gravekeepers, alright. Okay. Excuse me. Don't mind me. Nothing up here but us completely innocent and ordinary looking bats. Sorry I keep checking, it's just I'm trying to keep track of where we are exactly, because this is one of the parts of the castle I know the least well, is the middle part, because the way it connects isn't completely linear, especially before you've unlocked everything. So I'm just like, okay, hang on. Up, and then up, right, and then up, right, and then down. And then left. If you see the McDonald's, you've gone too far. Yeah. Yes. Rings equipped. Well, I agree, Mr. Ed. I will admit, I enjoy this game a bit more on replay than I do on play, which is relevant. Here. Put the walk armor back on. Whee! I have not. How, is it, Crazy Horse? That's weird, everything's upside down. Yeah, that's weird. Also, obligatory. How did you get here?
Alucard?
That voice, Maria?
I'm sorry. You were right. He has joined forces with the enemy.
So it was a Belmont after all.
But someone must be controlling him. Whatever we do, we can't harm Richter.
But he must be stopped.
I know. Well, here. Take these with you.
What are these?
If you wear these, you can see beyond evil illusions.
Thank you. 'Tis best then if you pray for the soul of your friend.
Okay. Just chilling there with Dracula, like you do. Hi, Saber-Wife. So, first Metroidvania. That's a tough question. Because, you know me, I tend to not recommend people play the best of a game, or a genre, or whatever first. Let's go. You can also swap out these. Well, I have nothing else to wear, so. Not really. I guess we can do that. Sure. Defense minus 24 with the Ring of Ares, by the way. Which is actually generally worth it, but. See, I'm trying to think of Metroidvanias that aren't the typical ones. And to try and expand my list of that. Excuse me. You know, honestly, the Prime 1 remaster is not a bad pick for that. Bloodstained might be a good choice. Unfortunately, I've never played it. I can't speak to that one. Do you mind? Do you mind? Thank you. Ori and the Blind Forest does have its problems, but it's still a pretty solid Metroidvania. I don't know if I'd call that a good one to start the genre on, though, which is the whole point of the question. Oh, God, let me think about this. I mean, I'm going to stand by my answer for the moment, which is Prime 1 Remaster. Nope. Keep going, come on, come on. Lion is where I want to be. I've never played Song of the Deep before. Hollow Knight is also less of a Metroidvania. I don't mean that as a negative thing, I just mean it as a statement of fact. Hollow Knight is a Dark Souls, which obviously is a Metroidvania, but my point is, the focus is substantially more on the combat and the boss fights. Also not something that I would recommend for a new player into the genre. Kingsfield, I'll let Mr. Red handle it. Did they really? Crazy Verse? I actually haven't heard of that. I believe you. I guess we'll find out in a day or so what I think of Bloodstained Books. Oh, right. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to save. Get a hard save in. Then we're going to stretch. Oh, I gotta get stretches in. Ugh. Okay. So let's make sure we don't have things equipped. We do not. Perfect. Let's go kill Richter. Death to Richter and death to the living. That's true. You can always just watch me play it. I know plenty of people who specifically say, hey, can you stream this game so I don't have to play it? Seriously, that's a motivation I've heard several times. Especially for storybook games. Boss fight.
I've been waiting for you. Answer me. Why is a Belmont planning the resurrection of Count Dracula? Count Dracula rises but once every century, and my role is over. If I can resurrect him, then the battle will last for eternity.
That's a really dumb motivation if it was true. No, it's not.
You fool!
Magnificent! But now feel my unbridled wrath. It's over, Belmont. So the war between humans and vampires finally ends here. What need for the shepherd when the wolves have all gone? My time on this world has come to an end.
We did it. We beat the game. And there's literally rolling thunder outside. Woo!
So you made it.
Alucard, how is Richter?
Very dead.
Sorry.
I see. Thank you for stopping him. Do you suppose that this too was fate?
So your journey is over as well then?
No, not until I learn what caused Richter's madness.
I understand. Well then, may the gods guard you along the way. Farewell.
You as well, Alucard. Goodbye.
I don't know why this song. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me. I know nothing. Oh yeah, we gotta mute this. Forget about that. Enjoy the total silence. Just drink it. Sorry though, we do have to mute this. I'm not actually being facetious. Yeah, for some reason they play a love song here. I mean, that's fair, Janthel. That's fair. I'm gonna use this time to get a little auditing done. Just gonna glance at some ideas here. Yeah, that was my fault, Crazy Horse. My bad. I mean, maybe Shaluda. Think of me when you feel the sun and the wind. That feels like a really mean thing to say to a vampire. Even a partial vampire. This is taking a real long time. Holy crap. You know my biggest thing I dislike about music that has lyrics? 99% of it is just extraordinarily repetitive, on purpose. You know what I'm talking about. Think about how many songs just keep repeating the refrain over and over and over. Although say the refrain, and they say something else, and they say the refrain, they say something slightly different, and then they say the refrain again. I hate it. It's so repetitive, it actually bothers me. Surely I am not the only one who is bothered by how much they repeat themselves in vocal music. Like, God damn it. Say something new. Replayability. I mean, obviously there's extremes in both directions. But, ugh. Either way, it looks like it's finally done. Okay. Yeah, Konami. We used to make video games. Now we make money. Gonna put on the whole shebang here. I was actually just debating this because well, let's think about this for a second. So here's our map, right? We talked to her here. I mean, you can't see my mouse, but we talked to her here, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And then we go up here, and we go up here. We get the double jump. We get boots. We get the bat. Once we have the bat, we can access this stuff. The gold ring is down there, reasonably natural to just kind of roam into, but the gold ring is only a small piece of the puzzle. And once you get the spike armor, unless you've already been up to the upper left area, you have no idea where to use the spike armor. The first time I played, I happened to have found the spike room in the upper left before I got the spike armor. So I was like, aha! And I immediately went there and, you know, talked to her. And she's like, ah, okay, yeah, sure. And then I had no idea where to actually go next because it didn't occur to me to read the rings correctly. The rings are decent. Like there is some direction there, and that leads you directly to the glasses, and she doesn't say anything about wearing the glasses in order to fight Richter, so I don't know. I think that between localization and lack of info in game, it would be pretty easy to swing a negative here. What do y'all think? Probably just one negative, I think. Because the thing is, I feel like if the localization was honestly better, and or there was more and better info in the game, then none of these would be an issue. You'd get one of the items at some point in time, probably the gold ring. The gold ring would be like, hey, or you'd get the spike armor, and the spike armor would be like, hey, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so we go here, we get the silver ring. The two things say, hey, use in the clock room, we use the clock room, we get down there, and she's like, hey, something's up with Richter, use these glasses when you're fighting him. Oh, okay, cool, there you go, we're done. But as is, eh. And I normally wouldn't even be that harsh about it because it's not the end of the world, but that's a fairly decent chunk of the game that's being locked behind that. Did I put the stuff? I did. I think I didn't get above the stairs in this timeline, so it's good to go. Pose. So, whatever. Inverted castle. Let's talk about this, because it's not nearly as lengthy as the normal castle, but despite being the same size, it's also a little bit of a boss rush. And nothing really indicates where it wants you to go in it either. It's just kind of, well, you have access everywhere, go. But we'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes here. So Richter's like, I'm evil. You know, maybe I shouldn't kill Richter. Fine, I won't kill Richter. It's one of those interesting things. I've heard several people say over the years that we should give extra points for gaming experiences that have nothing to do with the game in question. You know, that have to do with the community or the fan base or the players or whatever. And I'm not sure I agree with that sentence.
You've defeated me, but all is not yet lost. The resurrection of Count Dracula is at hand.
We got 4 CGI cutscenes for this game. We're gonna get our money out of them, damn it. All 4 of them involve this one area they rendered, too. That's the funny part. FMV scenes. There's just some dude holding a model, slowly lowering it onto the other model.
No. What have I done?
Thank you, Alucard, for saving Richter.
Alucard? The same Alucard who fought alongside my ancestor, Trevor Belmont?
Very natural sounding
300 years
sentence.
ago. No time for small talk. Is the person who controlled you in that castle over there?
Over there.
Yes, I think so. Maria, take Richter and leave here. I'll finish this.
All right. Good luck.
Hey, Zastil. Welcome to the Inverted Castle, and thank you for the sub very much. Always appreciate it. I will put that towards dealer's choice. Voice acting has not gotten a negative, but it has gotten a positive. So anyways, welcome to the Inverted Castle. All of the item drop things are still there, and most of the layout of the castle is pretty much identical, with a couple of noteworthy exceptions. But all the health ups and item ups and upgrades, it's not quite a randomizer, it's nothing about it's randomized, but if you think about the Inverted Castle as a randomizer of the main castle, it makes a little bit more sense then, let's be honest. Swap these out here. Where's my... Yeah, we still have the walker armor on. That. A so good it's bad thing for voice acting? No, I don't think so. Ooh, that's a nice color. Let's go with that for a bit. Yes. Yeah, nice royal blue there. Oh no! This is the first thing I did when I ever first encountered the Inverted Castle. By the way, that guy's name was Yorick. Get it? I was just curious if you could plummet into oblivion. And yes, I am having fun. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well today. He's trying to find his skull. Get it? I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. Where be your gibes now? I'm gonna stop. Shut up. Anyways. So, one of the problems with the inverted castle is that getting between the two castles kinda sucks. It's easy to get back to the normal castle, that's what library cards are for. But getting back up to the inverted castle, there's only really one way to do that. Go to the giant skull, it's fine, it's fine. Listen, nobody actually liked Nut Wrap. Nobody. Yeah, if the teleporters worked between castles, that would probably smooth over a lot of those issues. And what's funny is it would be easy to make them work that way, because teleporters already don't go to a place until they've already accessed that place. So you couldn't accidentally teleport up to the inverted castle, right? You just dip around. That would honestly solve a lot of my issues with the inverted castle. Well, with traversal in the inverted castle. I was told about it before I did it, but I was surprised that there was an inverted castle. Like, I was like, what? When I was a kid, this would have been college, I want to say? What year was this? Either way, when I was a kid, this just blew me away. The idea that there was an inverted castle. And for years upon years upon years, I would praise the level design of this game. Specifically because they made the levels, all the levels work from both angles. Which was just bonkers to me. Oh god, it's a bat! Also, our first boss of the inverted castle. But it's in. I think we'll need to fight 2 before we can start doing anything of substance here. 97, okay. So I didn't play this in 97. I think my memory is correct and it was college. Remember, I didn't get a PlayStation 1 for quite a while. Heal in there. The Ring of Blood. So, hey, Evo, tell me what you think of the visuals of this game. Especially the background. Unfortunately, just one screen is not really indicative of the visuals of this game. Whatever. What are you gonna do? Okay. I will not pest you. Oh yeah, by the way, that's what the fairy does. Sorry, someone asked earlier. The fairy will use your potions on yourself when you need them. Oh, Jesus, we're not really Shouldn't I be going that way? Should. I'm going the wrong way. I guess I could go this way. Whatever, we'll go this way. We'll go this way. Just, nope, 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 through this room. Nope, 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 through the room. Nope, 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 through the room. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh my god, I'm stuck on the freaking terrain. I'm stuck on the terrain! Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm gonna die because I'm stuck on the terrain. No! No! Oh my god. Okay, hang on. When was the last time I saved? No reason. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't move. I can't move. No, come on! My god! Oh my god. We made it one screen over. Yeah, the fairy will use potions intelligently. And I happen to have a resist stone potion on me. You little... Had to be a dick, didn't you? Jesus Christ. Good question, Evo. If you find the other half, let me know. Frightens enemy, lowers defense. That's still more defense than the one I have on me. Okay, outer wall, where I wanted to be. It is, of course, raining. Also in the game. Oh, thank God, a save point. Alright, we did it. We beat the game. We got to the outer wall of the inverted cast. Gold Skull is just going to be irritants there, like they do. Go ahead and unlock this over here. Really wish these connected. if they replenish hearts. I don't know, checking. I mean, the fact that they replenish health and mana. Fog is honestly good, as is. I don't know. Like, making it a full restore is not exactly a bad idea, but then again, hearts kind of flow like water in this game anyways. I don't know. Trying to show it off. It's harder to do than it looks. You can do sideways moon jumps as well. I just don't really have the vertical space I need to do it here. So, I want you all to guess. You can guess any number from 1 to about 200. But I want you to guess, okay? Jeez, if I can hit the damn thing. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. I forget what the actual drop rate is on this. They're good X too. 6. 10 it. 7. 8. The fact that we can't one-shot these is part of the flow down here. 9. 10. I noticed, like, only one person guessed in the double digit. That's concerning. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 2 level ups so far. 17. 18. 19. I forget what luck we had last time. 20. I mean, I could check, but I don't remember. 21. You'll see in a minute. For those of you not familiar with it. 22? Trust me when I say that this is worth it. 23. Plus, I'm just idly curious how long it'll take us. 24. 25. 26. 26. More thunder. Let's reset for a second. Hey, original gamer off. Do we have any heals? Oh, we do. Do that there. I won't be going for a second one. Actually, to my knowledge, most speedrunners don't go for this thing. 23? $24. $25. Damn it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. $26. Yeah, a lot of people think parts are hell in Castlevania games. Probably because they are in every other game ever. 27? I've completely lost track. If John Falkenstein's throwing me. 20-something. Oh, whatever that is. Because I've lost track now. So, plus 2 to whatever we just killed. 29, maybe? I don't know. The level of cell. $30, I think. One. Two. Hang on. Do we have anything? You know what we do, actually. Oh, I guess we don't. Never mind. I have not the original Gamer Box. And I never will. We do not, Great Source. I'm not playing some Stardew Valley. Oh, hey, we can one-shot it. Oh, that's going to speed us up tremendously. Okay, so it's 32. 33, 34, 35, 36, 7, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. That would have been funny. 43. 44. That has happened to me before, Crazy Horse. More than once. 45. 46. 47. 48. 49. 50. 51, 52, 3, 4, 5, 56, 7, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. 6. 7. 68. 9. 70. 71. 72. Yeah, like I said, Giant Sword, I've done that more than once. Like on more than one playthrough. 73. I've just gone like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh crap! 74. 75. 76. By the way, this is the ideal way to farm these. 77. As long as you get one shot. 78. 79. Actually, yeah. I don't know. 80. I know people who use this as a farm spot just because of the experience. Regardless of what we're going for. 81. 82. 83. I know several people have been asking what we're doing, and I swear I will explain 84 once it happens. It'll make much more sense to just show it than to talk about it. Trust me. 86. 87. 88. 89. 90. Oh my god. 100. No, 91. Excuse me. Come on, pay attention. 92. 93. 94. 95. 96. We can do cat damage in this game. 97. Although only while cursed. 98. 99. This might actually be one of the worst luck rates I've ever had for this. 100. 101. Not that statistics work that way. 102. But we're effectively at less than 1% drop rate already. 103. 104. You know, I'm not sure on Falkenstein. 106. 107. I know it raises your health. 108. And your mana. 109. 10. 11. I know about the mana one because you actually cannot, 112, 113, you can't cast certain spells until you have certain mana, which means you effectively can't cast certain spells until you've reached a certain level, even though you can cast all spells from the beginning of the game in terms of skill. 16. 17. Oh my god. This might be the worst I've ever seen. 18. 19. Hi, Elizar. 20. 21. 22. I hope not prisoners. 23. 24. 25. Your luck stat does actually affect drop rates. 26. As I've talked about several times. 27. So higher luck rate does actually make this happen more. This is one of the biggest reasons I usually go for the luck ring start, because the luck ring start involves your stats being pretty crap, but it's worth it for the drop rates. 9. 30. I think you're right about Falkenstein. Yep, you're absolutely right. 31. 32. What was everyone guess again? 33. 34. The Sword of Kings, Mr. Red, which I still have never gotten. 34. Oh, that wasn't it. God. 35. That wasn't it. 36. What you just saw almost happen. 37. This is something I've had happen to me before. 8. Oh god. 39. 100. We're already at 140 Cyclops. 41. 42. Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is I think officially the worst luck I've ever done here. 43, 44. 5. Yes, I have. I don't remember which one though, Elizar. 6. 7. 48. Oh my god, come on, let's make it happen. 49. 50. Thank God we can do this so rapid fire. 2. 53. This is why I fiddled with my equipment. 4. 55. When was pizza invented? 56. 57. See, one thing I tend to do is I tend to go as far to the edge of the left as possible. 58. I do not. It looks terrible. Those are 59. Specifically so I have more time to recover if I accidentally start going right and something drops. 60. 61. Like that. 62. 3, 4, 5, 6, 67, 68, 69. Pause to stretch my fingers out for a second. 70. 71. I have never seen this. I've never seen this take this long. 71. 72. 73. 74. What level are we at? 35. 74. 75. 76. 77. 78. 79. 80. 81. 82. So how's your day going? 83. 84. 85. 86. Yeah, we're almost up to 200. 87. 80. Oh, this is why I was worried when everyone guessed triple digits. 89. Y'all cursed me. That's what happened. 90. 91. Oh my god. Oh. 92. 93. 94. If I keep this up too much longer, I might give up on it. 95. 96. Damn it, Castle. 97. 98. 99. 200. 1. 2. 3. 24. 25. 206. Yeah, what was your name? I stabbed a shmoo a lot. 207, 208. 209. Oh my god. I'm teaching y'all how to count. That's the goal here. That's what this is. I like to think this shmoo remembers each and every single death. And that's why it's so pissed. That's why it's refusing to drop it. It's like, no. No. You keep killing me. I remember everything. I'm gonna rest my hand for a second. So, there's 3 ultimate weapons in this game. So, there's the sword, that is to say the sword familiar, which you can summon at level 50, I want to say, as an actual weapon, which is really good. And it's in a time loop. I'll get him. So, that takes some time and some investment, but not as much as you think. There's some really good farm spots in this game, so that's one option. The other option, which is substantially more boring than anything we're doing, is the blood sword. You have to get blood on the sword, but each point of blood you get on the sword makes it stronger. And you have to do that for an extraordinarily long period of time. When you do it for a long enough time, you could kind of hit for 999 damage every single swing, which is exactly as overpowered as it sounds. Oh yeah, then there's the shield rod. I always forget about the shield rod. Sorry. So then there's the shield rod, which we actually already have. The shield rod, which I've already shown off a little bit here. I'll show this off very briefly just to give us a little bit of a break here. We've already shown it off with the Shaman Shield. Where's the shield rod? There it is. Let's show it off with the Herald Shield. I suddenly can't remember how to cast the shield. I don't remember how to use it. I suddenly don't. I did it earlier, and I very suddenly cannot remember the input because I've been blindly killing these things 220-something times. Does the Herald Shield not have one? Try the Night Shield. Well, Herald Shield gives us a defense spell. There's one that just destroys everything. We obviously do not have the shield for that. Another summons a cow. Defense up. Yeah, maybe I was just screwing up the Herald. That's what Herald summons. Protection from fire. Just leaves Alucard. I don't remember if it does anything. Apparently not. Okay, cool. Well, we've already shown off the Shaman Shield, which does this. Intelligence up. Excuse me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, I don't actually want that. Where's my weapon? What was I using? Oh, God. Yeah. What the hell was I using? Might have been the Ice Brand. I thought I was moving on to something else by now, though. Yeah, okay, whatever. Was I using Damascus? Why? It's to... Maybe I just forgot to equip the Ice Brand. Which would not be that out of bounds for me, being honest. Anyways. But yes, I swear I'll try to show off, and by try to show off, I mean I will show off the Alucard shield combo. I'll do it on the guy with the most health. And I'll do it on that guy for a reason. I don't remember his name. Lightning dude. 234, 235, 236, 237, oh my god, 38. I wonder how many times it took us the last time we did this, 39. I know this is very boring and I do apologize, but I assure you this is going to be worthwhile for the entire rest of the run. Right, Cyclops, 42. I mean, this is about as fast as you can farm this right here. I spit on your ramen. Screw your ramen. So how about that Star Trek, yo? I think we all know that Star Trek is the most Star Trek to ever Star Trek. Honestly, the boss in question, Galamoth, I might actually give a negative. Because he'll probably get a positive, too, because he's an interesting boss, except for the fact that he has 100 trillion billion health. Nothing, Triaxi. What are you talking about? Could Picard beat Batman? Yes. After all, Picard is merely a human. But Batman is a subhuman. That's because he's an adult, Chaga. Yeah, for some reason, Strange New Worlds is trying to make the Gorn into the new villains, which is an interesting choice, to say the least. I mean, Picard loses all the time. What are you talking about? Every time he faces the Borg. Oh, that's mean. Not in the show, Mr. Red. He may have healed by the Picard series. But if he did, I'm not sure of that either. Just getting those levels. I like the idea that the fairy's like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Do you have brain damage? Did that last boss hit you a little bit too hard? Talk to me, Alucard. Talk to me. Hello? Say something, Alucard. Say something. Great. Schmooze. Schmooze. Does anybody know what these things are called in the Japanese version? Because I've always been weirded out that these things are just called schmooze. Yeah, we've gotten a weirdly large amount of ramen. Like, a bizarre amount of ramen. It's starting to worry me, actually. You know what? Hang on a second. Damn. Do I have... Oh, you know what I do? I even saved it for this, and I forgot about it. I have a luck potion. So we just almost doubled our luck just now. I'm gonna laugh. It doesn't drop before the buff goes away. And by laugh, I mean just cry. I mean, look, if ramen wasn't like $40 a head, I would be a lot more in favor of ramen. There are Chai Guy, but unfortunately I don't have any of them. You notice that was actually the first thing I looked for, was whether or not I had any of those. 300, by the way. Oh, I know, Cyclops. Stoughton, despite being, you know, amazeballs, is kind of console locked. It's not completely console locked, but it's kind of console locked, and it's really unpleasant. Like, why is Stoughton not being ported forward? We got several Castlevania collections, and none of them include Stoughton. Why? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Like, you cannot tell me there's no desire to have a Stoughton port. Also true, Cycloud, which we run into last time we played this game, because that's the version we were playing. You missed about 15 minutes of this, Brayden. This is terrible. This is the worst luck I've ever seen with this. This is streamer luck in a nutshell right here. I have not Cashel. When we play it for the first time, hopefully tomorrow, it'll be my first time playing it. Oh yeah, we have to have the sexy violence in the pachinko machines. Oh god, I forgot the PlayStation Classic even existed. I did. Thank you for telling me, Crazy Horse. I was wondering. So they decided to translate Q as Shmoo. Sure. I'm with it. I mean, what else are you going to translate it as? Just doing a direct translation? This is 1997. You don't do that. Yeah, we got the Advanced Collection, and we got the Classic Collection. I think, didn't we? Yeah, we did. And that's it. I couldn't remember if that was a fever dream I concocted in my addled Shmoo farming brain. All is left. All thoughts have left me. I have no nieces. No friends, no family. Okay, so for those of you who haven't left the stream, let me explain what we were doing. This is Chrysogoran. It actually has pretty bad damage output. And if you just look at the stats of it, you'd be like, well, this is a piece of crap. Why would you ever use this thing? So every time you hit the button, it does 3 strikes. It also can be used while moving. It's one of the only weapons in the game that can be used while moving. Oh god, I need to get to a save point. So it can be used while moving. It attacks a bajillion times per second. It can be mashed, as you can see here. And its range is good, both up and down, in addition to forwards, because it hits below you, too. It is the best weapon in the game. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate you. This is what we've been bothered. This is what we spent 15 minutes getting, because trust me, we just won the game. And even ignoring the fact that it's this incredibly powerful weapon, it's also wonderfully visceral and satisfying to use. It's just this Jipper Shredder. And of course, it's going to make the rest of the game go a lot faster. So even though we just burnt, like, what was it, 15, 20 minutes, we're going to save more than 20 minutes on the time we spent there. Or just with this sword, I mean. How do you get it? Well, the Shmoo drops it. At, I believe it's a 1 in 400 chance? Something like that. I forget the specifics, but it's a pretty low drop rate, along with all the pretty low drop rates in this game. Yeah, it drops from some random Shmoo. One in 588, apparently. Excuse me. That's a weird number to pick for that. Well, no, someone linked earlier why it's called the Shmoo. Yeah, no, other things can increase the drop rate. In fact, the fact that we used the luck potion probably did actually help. Yeah, it reminds me of the Atma weapon in the reverse. You look at the damage on the Atma weapon like, oh my god, I've got to equip that immediately. But it's crap, unless you've got the HP to support it. So anyways, let's go beat the game now. You gotta judge the inverted castle anyways. Right, hang on, let's go here first. Are we... I don't remember where we're even at the moment. My brain is filled with destroying schmooze. Boss fight. The creature! Dead. What? Actually, yeah, exactly like that drag, too. I mean, I didn't even find out about the ultimate rings for quite a while. Until I replayed this game for like the third or fourth time. Exactly, this whole time, the last few years, I've been farming for Sagram. So, okay, I mentioned this kind of earlier as like a joke. How many of you, yourself or know someone like you, who will sit there and farm a second Chrysagram for your offhand? For the record, no, it doesn't make your damage go up any faster, because you can't mash the two buttons any faster than you already can. But... I bet at least a few of you have, and so have I. We're obviously not doing that today. I've already wasted too much of your guys' time, but, yeah. I mean, plus, who would even know it drops from that guy? I'm not joking when I say the very first time I ever encountered Chrysagram was by total and complete coincidence. I was doing the luck run, my first luck run. I think it was my first. Might not have been my first. It was one of my luck runs. And I happened to be going through that room, and I saw it drop a weapon. I was like, oh, what's this? And at the time, I had a basic policy of just trying everything at least once, you know? And then, you know, that happened, and I'm like, wait, what? I think you're right, Cycloud, although I forget which one right now. Oh, absolutely, Crazy Horse. It was, ironically, crazy. Oops, wrong buttons. That's the outer wall done. I hope you're used to this song and all, because you're going to be hearing it a lot. Hang on, do we... Actually, let's go finish the library first. I just realized we didn't actually finish the library. Dumbest decision a person makes in a Castlevania game. So there's this guy named Matthias, right? No, I'm joking. It would ever work for Dracula. I mean, I can't remember his name, but the last boss of, I believe, the first GBA game probably qualifies. Unfortunately, I can't give you details because that would be spoilers, but you know. Yeah, we never actually finished the library. I was so focused on getting the stupid weapon. I was like, alright, we're done with the library forever, let's go. Kind of Europe, but not fully. It would probably, within the mythos of the setting, it would probably be more accurate to say that what's happening is the castle itself is expressing itself outside of itself. Also, we fought the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, if you're paying attention to that. So in other words, you look at the mirror at the window, it's like, oh my god, but none of that's actually there. We're in chaos right now. Capital C. And we must kill chaos. The Scarecrow is kind of terrifying. Oh yeah, obviously the Cowardly Lion. You're wondering why he looks like that. Okay, so we did that, upper right. I mean, if a second sword drops, I'm gonna laugh. It's not going to. But that would be very funny. So there's the Scarecrow. That thing bouncing after me on the left there. I'm letting it live so you can really get a shot at what it looks like, because it's kinda messed up. Then again, the Tin Man is a frickin' attack vehicle, so whatever. Cheers, mate. I mean, honestly, if you had the choice, wouldn't you want to access Dracula's library? He has a lot of books from a lot of history, some of which probably don't exist anymore. Just point it out. No judgment. Yeah, the inverted library, which again is in chaos. Like the old saying goes, forbidden knowledge is forbidden reason, and that's because it's totally awesome. Hey Daniel Dork, give me 1 second here. Thank you very, very much for the sub. As always. If you give me a moment, I'll jot that down. No, I'm sorry. I will not jot that down. Because that's an anniversary sub. Didn't even realize. Thank you very, very much for 3 years of support, Daniel Dork. And welcome to the 3-year club. I'll put that anniversary sub towards Yakuza, like, Dragon. No, I haven't, Mr. Oh yeah, they're adding an item kind of thing. Kinda sucks, but that's okay. Because I can still ensure I get nothing but Crystal Tower. As it should be. And the Voyager streaminations and the Batman streamination. And what she said. It's okay, I just picked up a neutron bomb. We're fine, we're fine. Hey look, a sword that isn't Crisagro. Okay, that should be it for library. No, I did miss one thing. What's over there? I admit my mental map of the inverted castle is a lot less thorough than the non-inverted one. I don't really have a reason for that, it's just when I get to the inverted castle, I kind of do the same thing each time. I beeline for the Crisagro. And then I go kill everything. Because there's, what, like 20 frickin' bosses here? One game, Crazy Horse. Non-financial things are for one game. That's why, for example, winners of the guessing game also only get to put it towards one game. But I do appreciate you, Crazy Horse. Thank you for being a part of the show. I don't even know what that is. What is it, Crazy Horse? This is the hard game. Yes, and then no, in that order. That's it for the library. Now we can head up. Gotta kill those smooths, just in case. Is this hard game? We have Crisagro. Of course, I don't have it here. I'm not sure where my Sega collection is, Crazy Horse. Google could help. Can someone do me a favor? And Google, what is it? It's like the Sega Genesis collection. It's on the Switch. It contains like 30 some odd Genesis games. It's pretty much the only Genesis games I own is that collection. What I'm asking is if Crusader of Senti is actually on that or not. It has something called Light Crusader. Is that a similar game, or is that a rename of the game, Crazy Horse? So now I introduce these stupid things. I have died to those so many times. They hurt like a truck. And they're easy to get stuck into. Like, really easy. Little floor traps. If Senti hasn't been ported, then that means I'm at the mercy of Amazon, essentially. It doesn't have Echo on it? Really? I do not feel like dying at this point. Minimize dying. They really like this song in the Inverted Castle. You can buy the soundtrack to it. Cool. Can I buy the game? I kind of need a legal copy of the game. Damn, that sucks. I hate it when games get console locked. I even hate it when games get partially console locked. Like, you know, we were just talking about with the game we're playing right now. Like, you'd be like, oh, it's not console locked. And it's like, that's true. No, actually, not Overlord. How much money do we have? Evening, Lumo. How very are we talking? It's like 60 bucks? I could swing 60 bucks. 60 bucks. Oh my god. Okay, Crazy Horse, I'm totally down for trying out this game of yours. If it costs a little bit less than £2,000. The problem is getting hold of older games is actually getting worse and worse and worse. See, something bad happened. It's called the speculative market. And the speculative market, as a concept, can go directly to hell. The speculative market directly led to the near comic book crash. Back in the, that would have been the early 90s, late 80s. When comic books as a medium nearly died. Because speculators. If you don't know what I mean by speculation, speculating is specifically when you invest in something and then do stuff in order to make the price of that go up so you can then sell it. Which, I mean, probably sounds just like a, okay, what's so bad about that? Until you think about that and take it to its logical conclusion. Which can and does lead to some really messed up stuff happening. Yeah. Scalpers, similarly, can go to hell. Oh, God. Remember the Spider-Man Torment cover? That thing was going for way too much money. Yeah, exactly. What Brago just mentioned is something that people were actually doing. Please think about this for a moment. Please really think about this for a moment. Imagine for a moment sitting down, buying a box of books, and then burning them so that the supply goes down, so that you can increase the value of the copies you still have. Like, really process how messed up that is on so many different levels. Just, what? So, yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to get off topic on that, Crazy Horse. It's just, speculation has noticeably and demonstrably made the retro gaming market just so much worse, and it's all been in the last few years. What ended up happening is... retro gaming has always been a bit of a market, but honestly, you could get a decent amount of games for not too much. Some of you may know, I guess it was about 6 years ago now? Yeah, about 6 years ago now, I sat down and decided to rebuild my NES catalog. All the games that I lost back in the day. And also some SNES, N64. You get it. Just building up all of the retro games that I had lost over the years. No, we're looking for a different game, but thank you, Daniel Lord. We're looking for, God, I've already forgot the name of it. I am not muted? Nope, I'm still right here. I exist! Hello! 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 Anyways. Crusader of Senti, that's it, thank you. Losing my train of thought here. So, what ended up happening is I bought all those games, and that cost me about $400. And that's a lot of money to me. But I really wanted to do that, and I've been wanting to rebuild that collection for a long time. And it's pretty much the collection that we'll be playing through when we do the NES block and the SNES block. So, yay! I am so happy I did that before the retro boom happened, because then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, what happened was a lot of people who were suddenly stuck at home started reaching out and trying to find other things to do. And what that means is an inordinately large quantity of people who previously were not video game players rather suddenly became video game players. And, try not to be shocked, old games tend to be good. Or, I'm saying that wrong. Old games can be good. So people started buying up old games. And people noticed people were buying up old games. That's like, oh, ho, ho, ho. And that's when the speculators got involved. Because all of a sudden the market expanded to include not just people who are collectors, or who wanted them, you know, for whatever, you put on a shelf, like me, but people who are actually interested in them. And, well, here we are. And the prices of games have been doing nothing but going up and up and up and up. Like, look at how much the DS Dragon Quests cost now, or the Game Boy Pokemons, or anything on the GameCube. Yeah, and then there was that scam with the $1 million Mario, and that just didn't help anything. It just, oh my god, that was just a mess. Because another thing that speculators do, remember, all a speculator cares about is increasing the price of their thing so they can resell it. They don't care how they do that. All they care about is increasing the price. So, something that people would do is, like, Valerian would be like, I want to sell this copy of Boy and His Blob. And I'll be like, I'll buy that for $10,000. And Valerian's like, you got it. And will sell it to me for $10,000. And I'm like, thanks, awesome. This is a great thing for me to have. But I don't know, this is so super rare now that I bought this. Maybe I would be willing to let it go for the right price. And people are like, oh my god, it's so valuable. It was worth 10 grand. I'll pay even more for it. And it's a scam. The whole thing's a scam. Anyways, thank you very, very much, Mr. Nuclear. Always appreciate those subs. Much appreciate. If you want to put that towards up to 3 things, you can. But if you want to put it towards just 1, you are welcome to. Either way, I'll put it towards Darkest Dungeon. It's a very dumb scam, I agree. It's not exactly the only one, and that's the problem. So here's the doppelganger. Listen, Valerian, it's not my fault you eat puppies, okay? You decided to do that. You know, that's a good point. The puppies are super delicious. Oh yeah, imagine if our duplicate had our sword. Oof, god. Yes, it's called plural voting. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. Rather than putting it towards 1 thing, you can put it towards 3 things. So you don't have to pick 1 thing you really want, and you can pick something that, you know, maybe it's popular and you think it doesn't really need the vote, but you can still put money towards it. Or maybe there's like a niche thing that nobody else cares about, but you want to put some interest towards. Stuff like that. It gives you more reach. It's the whole point of the plural voting system. So, the FF Pixel remasters and God of War 5. You got it. Thank you again, Mr. Nuclear. Not a large percentage, craziness. Imagine doing this room without Chrysaga. Go ahead, picture it. I'll wait. Like I said, we've probably already reached the point where we have regained time based on how much time it took us to farm that. No joke. Oh yeah, they dropped green tea. If Bragman's starting dinner, that means it's getting late. I need to hurry up here. Lost a bit of time. Oh, this is my extended lunch break. Like a dick. Yeah, emulators are very legal. I don't see what the issue is here. Okay. No, this is right. Jesus, yeah, $80. That is actually a really good deal. Wait. Listen, I swing the sword and people die. That's all it is. ROMs... The problem is there is no real legal precedence on emulation or ROMs. And most people don't want there to be. I know that sounds weird and pathetic, but what I mean by that is more people benefit from it being a legal gray area than if we were to actually challenge it in court, which could then set precedents, which could go against us. Frankly, and I'm going to say this as bluntly as I can, the last thing the world needs is for emulation and ROMs to actually become illegal. That would not be a good thing. Whoops. Didn't mean to hit that, but whatever, I'll accept it. Yeah, I mean, frankly, in my mind, the legality of the situation should be really basic. If a game has become abandonware for X amount of time, then it should be fine. It should be abandonware, legally. The problem is, most people don't know this, abandonware is a person term. It's a people term. It's not a legal term. It's not a legal defense. What I'm arguing for is making abandonware an actual legal definition. I know, Crazy Nurse. The Nintendo Sega Online expansion? I don't even know what that is off the top of my head. Oh, right. Okay, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, the extra online Switch patch, which I admittedly don't have, but I have access to. There's only one thing to do. Add it to the list and never let it get funded, lest it someday be streamed. Hey, random. I mean, I kind of have to buy things for your sake. That's how that works, Crazy Nurse. If I don't own a game, I have to buy a game. I know that sounds strange, but I do actually want to have legal copies of games. Stream them. Actually, me too, Yura. It's weird that they got into that market so late. But whatever, as they say. I'm honestly really glad that they didn't get into it late until more recently, because it allowed me to buy a bunch of games, and I am a bit of a collector. Not much of one, just a bit of one. I do like my collection, and it is effectively complete. There's one game, literally one, that I never successfully bought. Can you guess what it is? The answer is no, you can't. But if you do guess, I will put $3 towards a game of your choice, if you guess. No hints. I'll give you hints if you can't guess it. Just for my collection, just for having a collection of video games. Either way, I should write that down. What was the name of that game again, Crazy Norse? Excite Bike. Nope, found that one immediately. Good guess, though. I still have all my stat stuff, so I didn't lose any of that. Crusader of Senti, that was it. Action 52, you're funny. Shaq Fu. Alright. I'll give you a hint. It's an N64 game. And it honestly bothers me a little bit that I can never find a copy of it. Well, that was reasonably priced. Nope, I have Conker's Bad Fur Day, otherwise I wouldn't allow it for stream. And I know what you're thinking, you're allowing it for stream? Yeah, it's on the list. I know you guys don't have the list memorized, but it's there. I don't remember if I own Donkey Kong 64 or not, but I kind of don't care. No offense to anybody who's like, oh man, it's the greatest game ever. There was StarCraft on the 64, although, why would I want that nonsense? Because of all the firemen. No. AU Pikachu is A game, and B on the N64? Star Fox 64? No, I've had that since the game came out, actually. I never lost any N64 games. Mischief Makers. Good guess, but no. Mega Man 64? Nope. GoldenEye? Nope. None of you. I'm telling you, none of you are gonna get this. This is great. That's all I wanted out of this. Also, we do have Duke 64. We actually played it on stream. It's a recent stream, even. Castlevania 64. I mean, granted, if I hated myself, yeah. Goban's Great Adventure. I've actually played that sci-fi. So there's the Alucard shield. Now that we have that, well, first of all, we're going to equip it, but second of all, we can have some fun. Quest 64. Nope, remember, we actually started that stream with a physical copy of the game. And then my N64 crashed, and the memory card didn't save correctly, so... Tactics Over 64. That's the one. It's actually called Ogre Battle 64, but that is the one, correct. I actually have the box and the printout for it to this very moment. And I don't have the game to fill it. Which irritates me on several levels. I will not speak ill of Castlevania 64, lest I summon the damned. Whoops. But I'm not sure you can pay me enough to play that game. Or, I mean... So what do you want to put it towards, Daniel Lord? Because you did guess correctly. Ignore the flea riding the skeleton in the background. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh god. Everything's fine. We're cool, we're cool, we're cool. Okay, so that's that. We should add this thing. I'll put that towards Batman the Animated Series. And thank you for the sub. As always, if you know what to do with that, it's the minimum. Which you already have. Change the Worlds, Ruby, and Breath of Fire. I liked Ogre Battle in the SNES quite a lot, but I will admit, I'm not sure it would do well in review. You know? Because a lot of that was the uniqueness of it. I did like the complexity of the game. Lots and lots of branching paths, and tons of different ways the game can go. Lots of different combat strategies and viabilities, all that fun stuff. But at the same time, kind of an obtuse game. And can go really badly if you don't know what you're doing. Ugh. I don't know, I think all the Star Wars people wouldn't like that, Ross. Oh, Jesus. Interesting, Mad Overlord. Would you stop leveling up? God. Yeah, could you imagine actually liking Star Wars? Ridiculous nonsense. I want to do that first. Let's go with it. So that's gonna be... That is not something that sounds trustworthy to me, Daniel. Also, I refuse to buy off of eBay for the purpose of the show. I've been burned on that one a few too many times. Now, if you tell me that's on Amazon, I'll look into that. Listen, we all know I hate Star Wars. That's why I'm going to do an entire Star Wars rewrite someday. Yeah, eBay's not only sketch as hell, it's also legitimately unreliable. And the reliability is on twofold. First of all, if I buy something on Amazon, I am basically guaranteed to get my money back if something goes bad. That's point number one, and it's important. But there's also point number two. eBay has a really bad habit of being like, yeah, no, I'm totally selling you this, and it's not that. That's especially bad when it comes to video games, because a lot of the times they'll try to send is the correct word. Send you repo carts, or reproduced carts. In other words, it's not an original cartridge. Now, that's not the end of the world, except for the fact that they usually then charge as if it's an original cart. A repo card should be, honestly, dirt cheap. Because it's a repo card. It costs an extraordinarily small amount of anything to make a repo card. I could take one of my ROMs of Soden, dump it on a CD, and make a repo card in seconds.
So, you've made it this far.
Hi, Death.
In the name of your father, cease this foolishness.
Not while there's a breath in my body.
Then for the master, I'll feast on your soul this night.
Okay. So that was Death. Sorry. That was Death. God, that's satisfying. Okay, so Lord Harriman says, is the dodge roll a negative? And yes, we were playing specifically the PS1 version.
I'm ready to serve, Master.
Then do it.
This switch hasn't been pressed yet.
Okay, now go away and literally never come back. Yeah, what I'm doing right now is actually a speedrun tech glitch. It doesn't really count against the game. Having said that, the dodge roll problem is something that we have a precedence for giving a negative for, but the negative is not for the fact that the dodge roll exists itself, but for the annoyance of it doing it. In other words, the negative in Ocarina of Time is not for the fact that you spend your time doing this. The negative in Ocarina of Time is for hit, what, shit, ha. It's audio span, and that doesn't apply here. So either way, no. Hello? Is someone there? You can open the door and then... What? That's really early. I've got like another hour left. Okay. Okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and cut off the stream early, but then I'm gonna go ahead and come back, and we'll go ahead and finish the game after dinner. Okay? And she's gonna be a cowgirl for some reason. So, I'll be back in a few.